Welcome, guys. It is Snowy Padre here. I'm joined by Avril today, who is a New Zealand shoutcaster for League of Legends. Anyway, we're diving into the Masters Division Grand Finals, Company of Gamers 2013. This is going to be a crazy little battle here. I mean, we've got the patch going on. We've got a bunch of really good teams, some new mix-ups there as well, and actually some new teams coming in to experience the circuit. So that's going to be quite a lot of fun. I've got an interesting little setup where I've got my own voice going in my ears. It's hilarious. But it all works for you guys, making sure the sound is perfect. So I'm going to try it for today and see how it goes. But anyway, thank you for coming along. By the way, this tournament is sponsored by TT Esports and Playtech. You can see all their links on screen now. Amazing guys. I actually had a drink with the head of TT Esports Oceania, and he's just an amazing guy. He was really happy with what we're up to here. It's a brilliant tournament that we've pulled together. Thank you again to everyone involved, and we'll be having a panel with everyone who is just influencing LoL in a great way in New Zealand tomorrow during the grand finals, analyzing all the games. That'll be great for me because the patch is pretty confusing, and that's something I'm so excited to see, what people are going to go with. Anyway, moving over to Avril here. Kevin Avril Walker, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
Cool, nothing. Oh, I'm feeling pretty damn good, and yourself?
Pretty damn good as well. Have to echo that statement right there. Pretty excited for today's league games.
Oh yeah. Let's just delve in a little bit about Avril here. Just saying, you started off casting TF2 actually, didn't you?
Yep. Played competitive TF2 for the better part of something like 3.5, maybe about four-ish years. Did a bit of casting towards the end of that, and then thought, hey, let's give Dota a go, and then the whole MOBA thing started.
Oh yeah, you moved on to Dota, and you just want to experience lots of different casting games and things like that. We were actually talking before about casting really unorthodox games.
Yeah.
As a little funny thing to move on to. That would be really, really cool.
I think casting in general is just pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing to do. So, you know, I don't like to restrict myself to any particular game. That's why I like to experience different games and get into different types of casting for different types of games. So that's always great fun for me.
Yeah, so welcome Avril for casting League of Legends. Do be easy on him as well. Do be easy on me as well because of the patch. But still, be easy on us as casters right now as we're getting into the new patch, and he's just sort of delving into League of Legends. Know the names of things as much, but all casters stumble in names. We say stun instead of Annie, Kaboom, whatever. I'd say I didn't even know it. What am I doing? Anyway, you can follow him over on ID AvrilNZ for Steam and Avrilcast on Twitch, as he's going to be soon picking up a little bit more streaming, I think. Right?
Mm-hmm. You'll be getting in on those stun calls and the flashy skills whose names escape me, but some of the names, I'll get them. I'll get the ones that I play. Yeah. I play a couple of champions. I get more than a couple. I play quite a few. Well, a fair few champions. So I know the names of those abilities, but everything else, man, flashy, cool skill. Look at that, did a lot of damage. Love it.
Oh yeah, them flashy skills. But yeah, if you guys, I don't know anything about Dota 2 or TF2, but if you guys in stream catch him saying anything like that, do let me know, and I'll point it out and laugh at him in a variety of ways. Anyway, This is the Company of Gamers again, Masters Online Grand Finals for 2013. It's ramping up. We're starting off with Team Gravitex versus Team Loaded. So we've got Krasiv over on Team Loaded and Keeves, those kind of people. And Gravitex, actually a couple of sneaky Australian players moving in. But sad for them, only the New Zealand players will be prized. And if they're hearing this right now and they're just learning it, So that's their little beef. It was, I mean. Anyway, we are going to move into game one. Just a moment. Here we go, letting them know to start now. Here's a little graphic for Playtech there. And a little one for TT Esports. Again, our two amazing sponsors. Thank you for coming in. And we'll take a quick break while the first game does come up. See you guys in just a minute. Thanks again. Oh, it actually has come up. That was handy, useful. Anyway, We are getting into the first game. Jarvan first ban. Hey, it's still the old meta. Jarvan getting taken away. Of course, he does have an amazing initiate for jungle parts, which is now far more favored because of all of those wards. It's hard to be a close range jungler like Udyr to get in. You can't really get in behind lanes, which was the whole tactic before, because there's so much vision. You just you can't get behind people if you're a close range champ. Udyr is still fast, but if you see him coming, I'm pretty sure he'll get out of his way. Annie and Renekton going down as well. What do you think of those bans?
Any support, right? Like that's what I'm guessing here. Did I just make my first incorrect call?
No, call it. Wait, sorry, repeat that.
Any support if I'm not
any support has been doing incredibly well.
Definitely. I've noticed that any support's been very popular, very deadly as well. Extremely good in lane, so no surprises that that's out the window. And Renekton is just one of those top lane bans that I've always seen getting banned out.
Krasiv, I think is pretty adept on the Renekton and the Pantheon, actually. Akali, surprisingly, getting banned out. I'm wondering if that's a surprise with the new meta. We'll see. As we go through all the games today, we'll see what's a bit more standard for a lot of the better teams as we move up the upper bracket, and then we see the upper bracket of the lower bracket.
Could be a possible bit of a meta ban. I don't know if these teams have done much research on each other, maybe seen a couple of the previous games or done a bit of research on what kind of picks the teams do. But that's usually the kind of thing that I find happens when you see maybe a random ban that you're not expecting.
True, and just considering Akali, roaming might be a lot more popular in this meta. Just even if the warding's going down quite a lot, applying pressure to lanes rather than sticking in the jungle might be a bigger thing. But we will see Elise going down there as well for jungle parts again. She's got a massive range for her initiates, and of course she's got that distance stun with the cocoon as well. So Gravitex Vedori rather picking up the dog in the top lane. Nass is going to be scaling up, more than likely in the top lane anyway. Doesn't look like he's going to go jungle. Not too sure about that just yet, but keeps picking up the Shen, and we've got a Thresh in there as well on Morange.
Thinking about the Shen. He's definitely thinking about it.
He was moving in and back. And hey, we could potentially see a jungle Shen if that's a thing now, but he's got that range dash to initiate, but still he's not that range for his initiate overall. I don't think he can get in the lanes and really push out the damage. Vi is potentially coming out here from Gravitex, so it might not be a jungle Nasus, it might be a jungle Vi.
Yeah, definitely seems like a jungle Vi top Nasus. That would be my guess at the moment. Shen versus Nasus top. I'm not completely familiar with the matchup. What would you say about that?
Shen versus Nasus. Shen can provide a little bit of harass onto Nasus, but he scales incredibly well against Shen because they both get tanky, and Nasus scales off his Qs. So I don't think Shen will be able to put enough damage if Nasus is in the top lane unless they harass him quite a lot with their jungler. So if the jungler is put out of the job, then I think Nasus is in a pretty safe place. He's safe farming against Shen. He can be a little bit aggressive in the early game, but his damage output's still not great against Nasus again because they both tank up. But I'm giving that to Nasus mainly. And Shen, of course, will spend a lot of his time in other lanes if he focuses on using Zolt to support.
I do think perhaps Nasus scales better towards the late game with that Q stack.
Yeah.
That's something to consider looking into the late game, the late portion of this game anyway. We have a Lucian pickup. Wow, I don't think I've actually seen a competitive game with Lucian yet, so this will be interesting for me.
Yeah, it will be a little bit of fun. I mean, he's got a lot of mobility, a lot of dashes, but his ult is incredibly hard to pull off correctly and maintain that damage output. I've got to say, it's very easy to run away from that. Going up against a Jinx as well is annoying. Her poke is ridiculous. And of course, the damage output with that ult is just as ridiculous.
Yeah, the utility coming out from Jinx is just overall extremely good.
Yeah. Matching that with the Zyra is painful. Even actually matching that with the Lux as well is painful. So I'm thinking we're going to see a bit more aggressive supporting going on in today's games.
Definitely got pretty strong CC coming out of Gravitex's team. I mean, we've got the Jinx. What are those things? The mine things. I don't even know what they're called anymore. To follow up, we've got Zyra's Entangle. So yeah, a whole bunch of slows coming up from Nasus. There's a lot of follow up, especially in the bottom lane. You've got a strong stun combo, so it's going to be interesting to see this bottom lane matchup.
Oh, that position.
And especially how Loaded respond to that.
Going up with the Cassidy. Again, that gap closer really helpful in this season meta because of the vision available. And I'm thinking we're going to see a bit quicker in games. I think the games are going to be a bit quicker depending on how people manage their gold items. If you don't know, the patch does involve 3 new gold items: the Ancient Coin, Spell Thieves, Edge, and Relic Shield, I believe they are. And they each add a different dynamic to adding gold to each lane. So it'll be interesting to see who picks up what, and especially for the bot lane, we've actually been seeing a little bit of double Relic Shield, which is incredibly interesting. I would have thought Relic Shield and Ancient Coin, or Relic Shield and Spell Thieves, for Spell Thieves going onto the support, but Relic doesn't scale well with ADC, although it does let your support scale massively, incredibly quickly. So yeah, I'm interested to see where these gold items go.
Which is, in my opinion, a very important thing to look at. You know, allowing your support to scale. Say you allow your support to scale with a relic and the other team doesn't. That's going to give you a really big advantage going into the mid game. Your support's going to have more options in terms of items. You know, higher levels to use with skills. It definitely will make a big difference going to the mid game. So I can see why double relic is definitely a thing.
And we're just coming up now to revealing the summoners, so we're going to be able to show you guys the smites and ignites and what's going on that way in terms of aggression and in terms of junglers. There it is. The countdown has started. It is going to be Krasiv going into the jungle rather than sticking tops. Keep going tops, of course, and that Shen. But Krasiv going in the jungle with the Olaf. So he's got a lot of slow capability. He might be looking to harass the enemy jungle a lot. And Vi, of course, definitely going jungle, sending Nasus into the top lane to farm it up. But yeah, that amazing initiate from Vi. We'll see what that goes.
I do have to say, in terms of Loaded's lineup over here, we mentioned earlier that Lucian's ulti can be a little bit hard to hit, but then we do have, on top of that, a Thresh box, which in my opinion is a really great setup for the Lucian ulti. So there's a potential burst combo there that we can see from level 6 onwards in the bot lane.
Definitely. And also coming into the late game, the combos, I think they favor GTX more because they've got that heavy CC with Orianna and they've got the burst damage with the ulti coming out from Jinx on Shiny, and they've got that follow up, or actually the initiate rather, with Nasus, and you can get a good knock up with the Stranglethorns on Zyra as well. So I think they've got the combo down over on GTX, but perhaps not the laning phase. We'll see. And if Krasiv does deny a lot of that CC with his Ragnarok when he gets into battles, that could make a big difference. And if they position well, I think it's all about positioning for Team Loaded right now. I don't know if Loaded can combo that well with these champions.
I think mid lane is also another target. I wouldn't be surprised if GTX put a lot of pressure on Cassidy in mid.
Yeah, he can become devastating if he gets to assassin up.
Absolutely. That's why I think, you know, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Vi visits the mid lane quite often. We also have a teleport on Nasus. So, you know, a lot of different plays can be made there. We can see teleports bot, teleports mid, and a couple of, you know, definitely a lot of key plays. You can shut down Lucian, you're going to shut down Cassidy, you can shut down. I think Cassidy would definitely be a big target, though, out of those two.
Yeah, he would. Oh, just a moment there. I need to adjust a setting. Yes, that setting adjusted. Anyway, we're going to go back to the home screen for now. Actually, just talking about Cassidy, and those 1-for-all Cassidy matches are ridiculous. Having 5-on-5 Cassidins rift walking everywhere is just silly. I hope you guys have tried out that new mode, by the way, that's come into to Season 4, 1-for-all. I think they're going to do something a bit crazier than 1-for-all coming into Season 4 when it does start, like they did with Dominion, which was fantastic, and the delay only setting up 15 seconds as we go and load into the game. What am I looking at for ADCs in the top lane? I would think that Loaded are going to apply pressure to the top lane. I think the mobility in mid and bot is all right. So yeah, I'm thinking top lane. They're going to try and aggress out Nasus. They know that Shen can't do that on his own.
Absolutely, and in fact, you know, that's the Nasus's advantage as well. And in fact, if a gank came on, you know, to be honest, with that kind of knowledge, GTX could also go on top and do that gank as well on Shen if they wanted to.
Just a moment as we load into the game. There's a Mafia Jinx coming onto the field. We don't have an in-game loading screen, but I can tell you there's a bunch of borders going on here. Got to keep it all secret for you guys. You can match the skill levels, but a bunch of diamonds and a bunch of plats in there as well. So definitely a lot of high competition. These two teams I'm very unaware of because they're new coming into the circuit. Not necessarily Krasiv as a player, but Loaded entirely as a team, and Gravitex actually playing over on the Australian circuit a lot more. So it'll be interesting to see what they get out of, even though they've only got Victorian Soul with the tags. So it may be a little bit of a ragtag team. We will see. That teleport on Nasus is an interesting pick, considering he knows Shen's going to be out of lane because of his Stand United. So maybe he's going to try and match Shen's movement and be a bit more helpful for his team. But if he farms up, I feel like that's more helpful for his team, and he can respond to turrets better in the late game with his respond to turret pressure in the late game with his teleport.
There is also that split pushing threat with the teleport. Coming into the late game, split pushing with teleport is something to definitely look out for in two ways that he can use it. He can use it to jump into a lane and also jump out of a lane if he needs to help his team, and he's in a situation where he's in a different lane. So teleport going into the late game is definitely a very strong summoner skill.
And it can be for early game, but again, I don't think for Nasus. Yeah, that Shen, sorry, not the Shen, the Kassadin may just be a problem for Gravitex. So, just talking about the day overall, again, TD Esports, Playtech sponsoring this thing, making it possible. Finally, we're ending off the CoG circuit for 2013 League of Legends Esports. Again, this is Avril joining me, Snowy Padre, for the casting, duo casting the entire day. Actually, we may be getting Ian Wind coming in to cast for the last couple of games for matches today, and that's going to be quite exciting. You guys know him. You guys love him. He's Ian Wind. Loading nearly coming up. Who's sitting in the toaster today? Actually, everyone's at 100%, so we're going to be in soon. Not a problem. I'm interested to see if a Spirit Stone start comes out from a lot of the junglers, or if they've changed that meta as well, because of course Spirit Stone does provide a little bit of gold income as well now. And it's substituted for a gold item, which you can only have one of.
So that choice will definitely be interesting as well.
Here we are getting into the game, just lining up all of the UI for you guys. So it's nice and pretty. There it is. There's them pretties. And we're seeing a pretty standard start out from Gravitex, grouping up together and thinking of taking on a gank for the blue buff on red side, on loaded side.
So we've got an exact mirror in terms of trinkets. We've got totally the exact same, completely the same mirror actually. Relic coming out for the support on the loaded side with Thresh. Oh, who will actually get caught out right now? Entangle from Xayah, he will flash through to the blue area.
Ooh, that flash now gone in the bot lane. He's looking very, very vulnerable. He's going to have to go back as well, but I think he gets back in time. But yeah, those triplets are an interesting pickup. But the junglers grabbing those sweeping lenses as they get into lanes, they can now anti-what if they get into lanes, pretend to leave, and then come back.
One ward was definitely placed. That's actually in terms of offensive ward placement, they've got it straight into this blue pit at the moment. I do believe Loaded know they should be aware of that ward. I believe they've Morange as he exited that area must have seen that. And there you go. That's the sweeping lens being used at the moment.
And exactly why you pick it up early game for junglers, because there's a lot of early game warding from teams these days. Especially in the competitive circuit, you just you want to get rid of those early wards in your red buff, especially to make sure nobody steals that out or nobody waits for you around the corner as you jungle for that red.
We've got a dual mid. We have a dual mid against the Kassadin.
Oh, well, that is going to apply a lot of pressure to him. He can't do much. He's sitting there with his null spear until level 6, and even then he's got to wait for someone to come and help him to put off the damage to take out Shiny and Vittori.
He absolutely cannot do anything in this lane. We've got a dual CC lane with good combo, like extremely good chain, good poke coming up from both players here. from Gravitex. Jink's gonna eat, Shiny's gonna eat a turret fire at the moment. You know, oh, there we go, there's the entangle. No follow-up coming up from Shiny, only level 1, I believe he picked up, what did he pick up level 1? Most likely he picked up the minigun skill. But that is definitely one way to shut down a Caston. I was mentioning earlier that, you know, Gravitex were going to apply a lot of pressure to this Caston, and maybe Vi's going to gank a lot, but hey, why not you just put your bot lane to your mid lane?
And he's got very small mobility in the early game as well, so landing those grasping roots is going to be very easy for Zyra.
He's only managed to pick up his first CS by using that silence orb. You're going to have to forgive me for not knowing the name of that skill. Having said that, though, we do have a dual lane bot against a solo Nasus.
I do find that a weird pick because Nasus needs that scaling, and he would have done really well against Shin. Of course, putting Orianna up against that bot lane wouldn't have been too wise, I would have guessed.
I'd say in this early laning phase, oh, they've got another entangle onto Karasiv. He will eat a rocket as well, though. I was going to say this is actually advantage to Vi, because now we've got Olaf having to sit in this lane, having to babysit Phobia in lane. Vi is basically Kirby Curbs, can just do whatever he wants. He can gank where he wants, the other team doesn't know where he is, he can pop out anytime, anywhere. And, you know, if you're Gravitex right now, you know exactly where Olaf is, you know where Karasiv is. It's really not too much of an issue at the moment, although he is leaving lane just for the moment. Another engagement on Phobia as well.
Oh yeah, just checking out items, that Spell Thief's Edge coming out on Zyra, so you can see she's going aggressive. She's going to focus on getting those auto attacks on champions to maximize gold, but it is a relic coming out on Thresh, which I find kind of interesting. I mean, the late game relic does allow you to put a shield on your
bot lane.
Ooh, bot lane, there we go. Vi going in as he does
on.
make the Vault Breaker on to Thresh. Nothing too powerful going to come out of it though.
Phobia feeling just a little bit safer now, knowing that jungler did go bottom. In fact, that's something we do also have to consider, that is that Vi could potentially go in for that 3v1 in mid, although they are pushing turret pretty hard. They're shoving into turret very hard, and I wouldn't actually be surprised if that was the first turret that we see down this game, if not the bottom tower. Turret, I mean.
Oh yeah, and that can be a good thing for Sol, because once the minion wave balls up in front, oh, we might actually see Krasov. He's taken a bad positioning up against 3 of them on Gravitex. He's not going to go down though with the Ignite going there. That flashing from Shiny, thought he could get that last auto attack off with the kill, but not making it.
Was there an Ignite used?
There was an Ignite used, and it looks like Sol's going to be the first one going down. That Ignite picked off by Thresh. The aggressive Thresh Ignite coming into to bot lane play, so it looks like Nasus maybe getting shut down.
Engagement onto Phobia mid though. Oh, he has to burn Flash. He had to burn Flash to dodge those, dodge the mines coming up from Jinx. But very impressive first blood going the way of Loaded. In fact, Nasus will teleport straight back into the lane. He does have a health advantage coming in this time around. Magmi, the only one it's kind of on a health deficit. Vi's going to come in around the back. Kirby Curb is full health, full mana. What is she going to do?
Here we go. She jumps in with the Vault Breaker, trying to grab Morange, who did throw out the protective Dark Passage. Of course, it wasn't necessarily positioned for Lucian to try and pick up those last-minute souls, but yeah, as you can see, ganking difficult.
Vi, did Vi miss ulti there?
No, that was just the Vault Breaker. Vi does not have her ulti at this point.
Oh, right, of course. Only level 5. Miscast there, my bad. Yeah, I was going to mention that it's definitely a very important thing for Loaded to have that claim that first blood. They had a lot of pressure in the mid lane. Those were the two important lanes. Either mid lane was going to lose Caston first, or bottom lane they needed to kill Nasus first. And they managed to get that kill. That pushes them in the lead, and you can see their gold advantage right now is what is it, about 300. So that's the first blood coming out for them.
Yeah, that's not much of a difference, and just looking at the farming, it's easy to see why it's so equal. I mean, they're sitting above in the top lane, equal in the jungle. Above in the top lane for Loaded, but above in the mid lane for Gravitex. And Gravitex is just so great for Orianna in the top lane. Her farm is really, really good.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned much about this top lane at the moment, but I would imagine Orianna should definitely outplay Shin in this top lane. Shin obviously not going to scale as well as Orianna. So I do believe these teams definitely need to watch out for potentially shutting down Orianna in the top lane.
Shin's actually starting to tank up, so we can get a bit more aggressive. It may be beneficial for Olaf to jump into that top lane, but he hasn't been as active in lanes, and as you can see, he's moving through that jungle as much as he can. He did get caught out previously, and he doesn't have that much of an initiate, so I would be surprised if he didn't just he's actually
little lane possible engagement. Shiny will be the one that most likely goes down here.
Here we go. He does go down to Shen, getting off his Stand United in the mid lane as well. 0-2 currently to Loaded with that little 1k
Lane will be your next potential kill. Soul trying to get out of there. Does burn his ghost. Turret goes down as well. That will be the first turret of the game. So once again, bottom lane proving to just come out on top. The duo in mid not having as much success as the duo in bot, although I must say there has been a lot more pressure for Gravitex in mid, a lot more rotations coming up from Loaded towards these Gravitex players, and now we have a movement towards Dragon.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a sacrifice. The aggression down bot lane did lose Lucian a little bit of CS, but they got that early turret, and Orianna did have a little bit of a CS lead, but that turret's not going anywhere anytime.
You can't forget the first blood either. That gold advantage is definitely nothing.
Oh yeah. Coming in with the, that was a support kill on Lucian, yeah. Still worth though. Ooh, Billy missing out a hook out from
Bit of counter warding going on here. Vittori's going to take out a Pink. Gets an entanglement range. I don't know. Did he see him coming? Maybe, perhaps. I'm not too sure.
I'm thinking
it's just been on one.
They just put down that. Yeah, they were very aware of that mid lane with which was gone.
Shen now back in the top lane, having a bit of solo farm. Flamethrower going to go back in there to contest once more. Now the warding situation is all going up in mid. This looks like where the next engagement will most likely happen. Again, a lot of movement going towards the mid, a lot of wards being placed down. It seems like heavy emphasis on mid, and actually Moran's going to get caught out here. Kirby curves to take that one.
Oh, Kirby looked like he might go down if there's a Rip Walk. No, Rip Walk not going to be used aggressively. It would have killed Kassadin as well. But Kirby Curb's aggression working out for him in the end. I thought he was going to get taken down there.
Ranger's positioning not doing him favors in that middle lane. Top turret is actually looking pretty dangerous at the moment as well. No pressure going on there. No extra pressure going there from Gravitex, and certainly no response from Loaded as of yet. Olaf is still jungling. 2-1 is the score.
The instant Carl coming out from Shen has actually made it a very easy lane for him in the top. They're sitting almost equal, well, not equal in farm, but still very up in farm. I thought Shen would have had a lot more trouble with Orianna's range and aggression, but he's tanked up and dealt with it. In comes Krasov, though, as they do know Flamethrower is coming in for that gang. Throws out the shockwave to keep Keeps away and hope that he doesn't. He's going to flash Torn in to grab her. She does throw out the barrier. Is it going to be enough with the flash as well? Is he Ignite? Ah, that one last reckless swing from Krasov, taking her down. And will they get the turret as well?
It's definitely possible. They will need some sort of response as bottom tower from the red side didn't manage to go down. Kirby Curbs is now here to respond, going straight onto Keeps. Will engage. Who is the turret targeting? We have a teleport coming in from Nasus as well. Keeps wants to get out of there ASAP. Missile from Jinx does not hit. We have a very low Kirby Curbs, very low Vi, and a relatively low Shen will be exiting right now. Soul back in that top lane. They do manage to defend that top turret.
If Krasov had paid a little bit more attention and damage to Kirby, he would have gone down, but he did get that turret down to half health, so that's the benefit from that decision. They have an easier 150 gold going in. As
far as the turret situation goes, bot's completely even. Mid's completely even, top's completely even, so, you know, next turret basically will give them an advantage. We have an all-in coming out from Loaded. Box has been used. Vi now going on to Magby. He's in a bit of trouble. Phobia is going to go in with a Rift Walk. No success there. Vittori will get taken down by Lucian.
Very good targeting from that Shen at the very end there. Coming out on top is Loaded with that one kill on Vittori, but Shen, just a brilliant grab in the midst of all of that hectic fighting. Noticed that Vittori was out at the back supporting, just threw out that taunt.
will be a Dragon going most likely to loaded. Top has had a response now. Keeves is going to go top to defend this top turret against Sol. There will be a 1v1 happening up here. Turrets included. He really wants the turret though.
Yeah, I'm
Dragon
sorry,
has
his
gone
Q's
down
going
as
to be
well.
able to destroy that turret. He doesn't care about Keeves one bit.
And he just walks away.
He's got his ult up and ready as well, so no
Nessus.
troubles for him. However, the lane was not warded, but they could see everyone in mid. Oh, there's that championship Thresh B. So pretty.
The score is now 4-1, but the turret situation is in the favor of Gravitex. They do have slightly more map control at this one. In terms of turrets, it's definitely map control. Magmi's going to actually blow ulti here to clear the creep wave.
Gravitex just a little bit stronger in farm, but the kills have certainly kept loaded up.
Yeah, and the gold lead is still at only about 500, so we're only seeing an extra maybe 200 gold from where we were at 5-ish, kind of 7-ish minutes ago after that first blood. So, you know, with even 3 kills, you can see maybe that there's a turret advantage going to Gravitex. That's definitely influencing gold at the moment. Not completely uneven, despite the 3-kill lead.
Siphoning strike scaling up nicely on Nessus now that they're basically just sending him to free farm lanes. That's what he can do right there, and they're applying a lot of pressure to this mid turret. They may just get it. Shockwave barely misses out. Doesn't miss out Cresta, but that ulti from Shiny gonna pick him up. But they didn't miss that. He threw out his Ragnarok, so they burnt his ult and managed to get the kill.
Absolutely well played by Gravitex in that situation, or perhaps a misplay by Krasiv. I'm a little bit unsure on that. He did go in. His only support at that stage was Lucian. It was a 2v4 situation, wasn't it? Or no, 2v3 situation.
Yeah.
2v4 situation. And so, you know, perhaps not the best decision for Krasiv to go in there. And that will definitely cost loaded one champion as well as a turret, and now the gold situation is in the favor of loaded despite the kill lead.
Yeah, despite that kill lead. A lot of tanking up coming up from that Shen. It looks like he's going to be on the front lines. Hopefully he can deal with Nessus also tanking up, looking like he's focusing on that frozen heart. Or potentially bringing out a Spirit Visage first. Come to just think of it, seeing that Kindle Gem in there. Lucian actually picking up, he's focusing on getting out the Trinity Force, which I haven't seen too much of on Lucian because he does favor auto-attacking from his double attack.
I don't really know that he has the spam ability to take advantage of the Sheen either. I suppose... yeah, I'm not completely sure about Trinity Force either, but Magby seems to be pretty confident about it. Mirage will get a hook onto Vittori, but there will not be an engage. In fact, it was a very risky hook. He actually takes a lot more damage in return than he dealt. So, definitely has to be careful of those situations.
3v4 coming into that mid lane. Engage, and it looks like he's trying to control Soul scaling, but it's not quite working still. As we can see that lane coming in with the Nessus and Shen.
We do have to remember if there's an engage. Oh, there we go. Krasiv is going to go in. Shen will pop his Soul will pop his ulti. Wants to get out of there. Is going to run past her, but will he survive? No, he will not.
He has not tanked up enough of that true damage coming out from Krasiv on the regular swing, and they're going to be able to pick up that turret as well. But they have left their mid turret exposed. Down it will go, and they're going to take Morange with it. Gravitech, they're bulldozing through that mid lane. Oh, Phobia's gone straight in with the stand united from Shen. He did survive a little bit, and he does manage to get out with his Rift Walk. They're trying to focus down Flamethrower. They do manage to have Jinx pick up the turret. Lucian taking down the Flamethrower, taking down rather the Orianna. Cool Flamethrower in the midst of that battle. Brilliant fight. Brilliant initiate from Phobia.
Absolute brilliant initiation from Phobia, and a good team play coming up from Keeps as well, using that ulti to save, to rather shield Phobia, and he manages to escape with his life, and that's just absolutely brilliant play coming out. Losing Morange, losing the turret, but they do come out in favor still in kills. The turret situation is now 4-2.
And that mid turret for Gravitex still standing incredibly strong. Dragon going to be coming up and just above a minute. Soul again free farming in that top lane. So is there anything interesting going on for items here just yet? We're still seeing the sight stones coming out from both supports. So that does still happen quite a lot apparently with the trinkets involved as well.
Triforce is now finished on Lucian. Will we see some heavy burst damage come through? That's the question that we will have to ask, and I guess that will be answered when he comes back and when the next engagement does happen. Blue also being picked up as well.
In terms of team coordination, I've got to say Loaded have got it down, especially with that Cassidy and Shen combo. But yeah, the whole team combo is still sitting there on Gravitex. If they do get Soul going in there, taking a lot of damage, throwing out the Orianna defense, moving into Shockwave. Potentially the initiation goes with Kirby as well.
I was going to say that there is teleport possibilities for both of the top laners, and that Soul has a teleport as well. If he wanted to go, and if there was going to be a fight breaking out into the mid lane, both the top lane players can potentially TP in. We saw Shen do that. No response from Soul though.
That is actually a pretty good response just for split push Shen in case something does go wrong, and they've got a great strong team comp. So I think
actually, yeah, I suppose.
Well, they don't have the positioning. They do have the team fight, and they do have answers for anything that Loaded can throw out. But right now, Loaded sitting on top, especially with their maneuverability and their damage.
Dragon's being pinged out. A pink will go down as well, just to check for warding.
Oh, Gravitex is nowhere around to scout this out. They do have the Nasus there, nowhere around to respond to it. Down it goes. Nasus not going to be able to jump in there and smite it because he has no smite. He's not a jungle Nasus.
Nasus is actually solo at the moment. He will go for the solo pink ward. Loader actually caught between 4 champs on one side and a Nasus on the other side. They do realize Nasus is behind. Will they actually go on him though? They can turn into a 4v1 situation. Potentially 5v1 situation if they turn around. Shen will be going in though. Initiation straight into flamethrower. Lucian's ulti will take him down as well. Kirby's now in the middle of everything.
Here we go, Kirby slowed out by that axe, but he is going to be able to Vault Breaker over the wall. Is Vittori going to do the same with the flash? He certainly does make it, but the speed on Crassus is insane. Does miss the undertow, but hits. Oh, that's an eye on Vittori. Going to be able to survive this out, and Crassus will start taking turret damage. He's going to get away, but Cassidy in the meantime picking up a double kill up against Jinx and Nasus. That is insane. Flamethrower going down at the very beginning of that fight.
And once more, what an amazing ulti coming up from Keebs straight onto Phobia. Definitely the coordination coming up from this team is absolutely phenomenal at the moment. We saw the initiation going to Flamethrower, follow up from Phobia. It's the way that they're picking their fights right now is really good.
Certainly, and I've just got to say, I'm not even sad that I missed that double kill from Phobia. A Cassidon's a Cassidon. Watching Vittori work with
Flamethrower once again though.
Flamethrower does look like it's going to go down, throwing out Shockwave on himself, keeping Krasiv and Keeps there. Kirby may just be able to make this a 1-for-1. Krasiv is going to go down, it looks like. His speed is a bit too much for Kirby Curbs to deal with. Oh, is the Vault Break going to come back? No, a slow going out from Krasiv as they do manage to focus down Shen in the meantime. So Gravitex still getting away with that 1-for-1.
Keeps will save his teammate Krasiv. And yeah, it was a bit of a greedy 1-for-1, but Gravitex definitely needed to get one of those kills to make sure that it was a 1-for-1 and not just another kill going the way of Loaded, who is now in the excess of 3,000 gold. And still down 1 turret, mind you.
Yeah, they're not actually that far ahead considering how many kills they've got in this game. It's just wonderful to see how Gravitech can still farm up in the game. They still know where to go. They still know how to position for the map. And it looks like their warning's phenomenal as well. Not much coming out from Loaded right now. But yeah, that gold difference is just so minimal for a 4-11 game.
Absolutely, a 4-11 game, you would not expect it to just be 3,000 gold. Absolutely not. There must be some sort of CS difference. We actually do see dragons going the way of Loaded as well. I believe that 2 dragons have now gone the way of Loaded. So, considering all of that, considering the kill lead, only 3,000 gold is a bit surprising to me, and a bit of warding going down on Baron now.
Yeah, I think a lot of that will be the new gold-giving items and how people manage those. I think that's going to be a huge difference compared to semi-pro and pro play.
Absolutely.
There we go. The warding just starting to sway back into the favor of Loaded as they are scouting out the Baron. Dragon not going to be out for quite a long time.
So we do actually have Shen and Lucian are the ones leading in terms of gold at the moment. Their items, they are definitely the most farmed two players, not only on their team, but in the entire game at the moment. Lucian already have his Bee of Sword and the Trinity Force. We have only a Bloodthirster pretty much on the Jinx so far into this game.
Yeah, having that ADC gold lead on Lucian is brilliant for Loaded. And looking at their positioning from that previous match, from their previous bout, Lucian got off just such a perfect ultimate, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they actually held back a little bit to wait for GTX to get the perfect position for Lucian not to be lined up, for all of their AoE abilities to land perfectly. And if Loaded can continue doing that, then they're going to take away team fights, despite the ulti advantage over on GTX.
Absolutely, and Dragon will spawn in another 1 minute 30. Teams not particularly setting up just for that at the moment. We have a lot of pressure coming into this mid lane. It looks like there may be a team fight coming in. Nasus will TP home. Shen's Stand United still available should a team fight break out.
Yeah, then he is gone for that split push Stand United play. Nasus looking to clear the bot lane, and his teleport is down, so he won't be able to respond just yet. And if Loaded can guess that out, then they've got a perfect initiate here.
Teleport comes up in 30 seconds. Teleport comes up in 30 seconds, so if GTX hold out, the teleport will be available for Nasus, and we may see rotations coming out from both Shen and Nasus going to this next team fight. And actually, top tower will be the target. It will go down fairly quickly. No response, or this response is definitely not quick enough. Will there be a hook? Phobia wants to go in.
Oh, Kirby getting out of there just in time, along with Vittori. Such great positioning up from Loaded at the moment.
Impressive though. He needs to watch his positioning just a little bit. On half health at the moment, he definitely might be a target going to the fight if they do engage somehow. Positioning it going back to this mid tower now. Back to the mid turret rather. Keeps still on that split push. Stand United is still available. In fact, I think Loaded going for this dragon up in 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, and they're using that Shen as a bit of a distraction, and they can even go and support them again. Stand United sitting there like it always is. Interesting to note though that Nasus is the one sitting with the most farm in this game at 193 at this point. Dragon does go down to Loaded. That gold gap does increase to 4, and it looks like Flamethrower's in a very tough spot. Out goes to Stand United from Shen as well to follow up on Phobia.
Phobia on the chase, onto Shiny. There will be Rampage. Kirby Curbs will go down next. A double kill for Magmi going into this, going through it from that fight. Where is... Oh yeah, Shen did use Stand United. No response from Nasus. Still no response from Nasus.
No, he's just moving in and farming in the top lane. I think if... No, they're not going to go for the inhibitor, despite the fact they've only got a Zyra to deal with. Are they going to pop over to Baron and see if they can pick it up? They are all pretty low. No, they're all going to back.
We actually had a surrender vote happen right there. It didn't go through, but there was actually a surrender vote coming from GTX.
Interesting indeed.
Infinity Edge now picked up for Lucian. The farm is here. Although leading in terms of creep score, Soul's definitely up there. If you look at in terms of net worth, Lucian Magmi is ahead of Soul by 2k gold, despite having less creeps.
Yeah, I've got to say, he's nowhere near finished. GTX are nowhere near finished. They're still sitting with a Nasus farming up. At the highest farm in the game, his Qs are going to start destroying, but they need the positioning. And right now, Loaded's just nowhere to go.
It's very gritty though.
They know how to split push, they know how to throw out the ults.
As much as Nasus solo farming is something that he needs to do, it's very greedy in that GTX are losing a lot of objectives. They're losing a lot of team fights because the Nasus isn't there. It's always a 4v5 situation. Keebs is always going to use Stand United to TP into fights, but we're not seeing Nasus do the same thing with his teleport ability, and it's costing them team fights, it's costing them objectives. I'm just not sure that it's paying off for them at the moment.
True, and he hasn't thrown out his ghosts as much as well to pick up a few extra Qs on the targets that he wants, which he has available. He throws out the ulti, gets off that ghost, and he can target Lucian all he wants. And Lucian is the most farmed, as you pointed out before, on Loaded. So if he does manage to target him out, maybe Phobia and Keebs won't be as frightening. But Krasiv is still great for denying a lot of the CC. If he can get into the hit of the fight and make sure everybody focuses him down, then his Ragnarok is just going to destroy
both Keebs and Magmi are ahead of all players on the Gravitech side at the moment, as well as their own players. I think what Gravitechs really need to do right now is find and engage. They need to find a safe engage, maybe catch out a player. Then they definitely need Nasus in the next fight. They totally need that 5v5 situation. They're not winning the 4v5s. They're now behind enough that they can no longer attempt to go for a 4v5. They need that 5v5 situation. They need Nasus to use a teleport, and they need to find some picks.
Certainly, and it looks like we may see Baron getting a bit of attention as Morin moves over there. There's no anti-warding for that bush. There's a bit of sight there for Gravitex.
Perhaps they might want to push out top first, potentially.
Yeah, making sure all their lanes are pushed, and Shen's helping them in that respect from the bot lane. Teleporter is up and available for Nasus again, rather than sitting on cooldown. Gravitex sitting over on the Baron side, actually.
Movement coming from Gravitex.
Oh.
A lot of movement from Gravitex at the moment. I don't think they want to engage because, once again, they don't have Nasus. They can't go for this 4v4 situation. Even though it's a 4v4, it won't be 4v4 for long because Stand United is available and will go up. Ooh, the hook barely misses Shiny.
They need to respond to this. They really need to push Loaded out. Loaded are farming up. Loaded are destroying them team fights. They need a good team fight.
Absolutely, they need a good team fight. Will they engage here onto Phobia? A little bit risky. I don't think they will. Taking Phobia just below half health.
Look at Soul. He's able to 1v1 that Shen so easily, but it looks like Loaded is responding to that and see if they can get behind him and force him to throw out a TP. He is actually going to teleport back rather than throwing out his... He's going to be back rather than throwing out his teleport. So
yeah, and Krasiv's gonna go check bot lane as well, just in case, wanting to catch out Soul. They haven't really responded to Soul, but they haven't needed to, because once again they've managed to win team fights regardless. They don't. They see that Soul's out of the team fight. They see that Soul's not with his team. This is when you possibly go for a team fight. You turn a 4v4 into a 4v5 with Stand United, and you know. It's really up to Salt to use the teleport, but he hasn't so far, and I think there's a potential for a teamfight change. I think there's a potential that there's a swing opportunity if we do see a 5v5 fight, although it's starting to get to the point now where we're looking at about 7k gold lead. Lucian's quite farmed now. It's going to be difficult, but I think it's doable.
It certainly is doable, and that Trinity Force actually has been working out for him because he's kept a lot of range in the fights, thrown out a little bit of poke, chucked out an auto, and then thrown his ult out. So he hasn't actually needed... there's that little bit of poke up against Soul, and Soul is sitting incredibly tanky, especially against the ADs with that Frozen Heart. So it is starting to work out quite well for Lucian. I suspect he went for that Trinity Force because there's a lot of AD inhibitors sitting on Nasus, and they know that late game they just need to get rid of Nasus. If they've got the rest of the team fights down, he's gone. Then there's not that crazy damage looming over their heads.
Absolutely, and there's no cleanse coming out from Magmi either at the moment. No QSS being built, so nothing to counter that Wither play. Morange slightly in a poor situation. Hook will not hit. Kirby is in there. Morange is deep. Box will come out. This is the next team fight right now. Krasiv's going to go in. He's taking a lot of damage. Flamethrower is the target once more, but Krasiv will go down first. Kirby's going to go on Morange. He will be taken down as well. Shiny now taking a lot of damage. Phobia also taking a lot of damage. Shiny will go down. That is the AD gone once again. Soul's in the middle. He will shut down Magby.
Oh, Phobia's the next target for Soul. Is he actually going to make it? But Tori doesn't manage to jump back to provide a little bit of CC. Does pick up the Thresh, but his Keep's going to be able to pick up Soul on the way. There's that speed up from Flamethrower, who did stay in. It looks like it was well worth it for him to stay in rather than going back and healing. He did risk his life a couple of times, but in the end, coming out decently for Gravitex.
2 to 3. coming out more than decently, I have to say, and that is the difference of the Nasus. The Nasus I was talking about, finally we see a 5v5, the 5v5 that we've been waiting for so long, and this is the difference that extra player makes, especially if it's a Nasus that's been farming. The Nasus has been solo farming for so long. He's got a lot of stacks on Siphoning Strike, and you just saw him demolishing place. He didn't die, he was in the middle of everything, and absolutely made a world of difference. And 2-3 was the outcome for that fight. Gravitex losing 2, Loaded losing 3. They come out on top of the team fight, despite the fact that Loaded, up until now, have been, well, still actually at the moment, have been ahead in this game.
Still that 5k gold lead. They did take on Baron for a little bit of time, and safe to say that he actually got down to about half health, which is what I was checking just before that fight broke out. That would have mean that they were a little bit low, but winning that fight, I think, has done so much for Gravitex now that they could take him on a straight 1-for-1 team fight.
Absolutely, closing that gold lead by 1k. You know, every bit of gold counts. So closing the gold lead for sure. Shiny, unfortunately, has been going down for the majority of team fights. You know, this is really hurting their AD. Magmi finally being shut down. He's 6-for-1, but Shiny, unfortunately, only 1-4. And you can just see the difference in items at the moment is pretty severe. The gold difference is pretty severe, and Shiny's just not having a good time at the moment.
Oh yes, and I've got to say, Loaded have built into a team fight that negates a lot of the special effects from Gravitex. They've got the Zhonya's Hourglass with an initiate on Rick Walk for Phobia. They've got the ulti coming out from Keeves for Stand United, and they've got the Ragnarok from Krasiv. So if any of those abilities deny a lot of CT...
Well, they won't be engaged though.
No, just barely getting out of that engaged situation. Pig turret sitting nice and strong. Sorry, Warthog.
But yeah, actually, Flamethrower is getting a lot of attention from Loaded. He's definitely not having a good time this game either. Both Shiny and Flamethrower being targeted quite a little bit. Hook will come in onto Shiny. Kirby's gonna go in. Ult has been used. Fox goes down now. Magmi's in a lot of trouble. He will go down to Vittori. Krasiv now taking a lot of damage as well. Phobia also in the midst of dying, shut down by Flamethrower. Keeps now in the middle of everything. 5v1, 4 kills for Gravitex. What a team fight.
Assault and Battery Shockwave into a follow-up from Nasus. Just an insane combo. There's the team fight from Gravitex. I'm sorry, Loaded let it run too long. They did have an opportunity in the middle of the game to try and apply a bit more pressure and pick up an inhibitor. That might have given them that much of a lead, but Soul scaling and Kirby getting out that perfect Assault and Battery. I think they've got team fights down. They may just have a Baron down, and it does look like there's nothing to contest it. Krasiv looking like he's speeding up in the map, but despite having the warning, despite having the vision, they're not going to be able to do anything about this. Look at the damage getting pushed out on that thing.
I have to say, one of the key things about that team fight that led to their victory was the speed at which they shut Magmi down. And once again, Magmi has the most farm in the game. His damage output right now is fairly incredible, i.e. plus Last Whisper now, plus Trinity Force. It's nothing to joke about. And the speed that he got taken down was absolutely insane. You know, the majority of the damage being lost straight there. Cassidy as well. Phobia didn't manage to do much in that team fight. He just doesn't have the tank ability. I don't know if Zhonya's... I didn't catch the Zhonya usage, but he also did go down in that team fight. So both of your hard hitters not really surviving the team fights, and then you're left with Keeves, who's very tanky, but when it's a 1v5 and all you have is tank, and you're not even a Nasus, definitely a difficult situation to play in. Now we're seeing Krasiv falling off a little bit as well. The Olaf not putting as much pressure into team fights as he did. So it's slipping. It definitely looks like it's slipping from Loaded at the moment.
Yeah, Gravitex is going to start being very aggressive. They've got the Baron. They know the team fights are down. All they need is to group up and continue forward. They can steamroll this.
What a difference that solo Nasus makes. If he's level 18, we have a level 18 Nasus, the highest leveled champion on the field right now.
That just shows how powerful he is at farming. He's a brilliant farmer. His positioning in the lanes, their ability to swap lanes actually for Gravitex was stunning at the beginning of the game.
And now Nasus, Soul, number 2 on the net worth chart. only behind Magby still with the most gold in the game, but Soul is definitely catching up. He's certainly leading in terms of levels, and now soon he will most likely be leading in terms of gold as well.
Yeah, even then, he's got the minion farm to circumvent gold income with his Q. Anyway, that's the thing with Nasus. You just need to buy tank items. That's it. You can farm up your Q, and you're good. If you got a 40-minute game, you're solid.
Absolutely, and we even saw in that, in that last team fight, we saw Stand United come through. You know, we saw everything being used. We saw Loaded use everything that they could have possibly done, but it just didn't seem like it was enough. Is this Nasus advantage to the point now where it's near insurmountable? I mean, they've left him alone long enough, and they did what they needed to do while he was alone. They played that situation correctly. I mean, they took objectives, they won team fights, but has it been enough?
No, I have a feeling it hasn't been enough. They weren't focusing down Nasus as much as they needed to. They left him with Shen a lot of the time. And there's a Rabadon's death cap actually coming out for Phobia, and that's something that is a bit lacking over on Gravitex's side. They don't have as much magic resist as they could. They have a little bit on Nasus. They've got a little bit on Jinx, starting to get that Guardian Angel now. That'll be interesting to see if he makes a bit more of a difference, because he does have that Zhonya's. He can jump in. He can potentially actually stack up his ulti, his Rift Warp, before he jumps in, so it does a lot more damage. Burst people down with that and his W, and then throw out the Zhonya so everybody targets him.
I actually think Magby right now should be building something perhaps defensive. He's gone for another Bloodthirster, another offensive items, but I think the problem right now is his survivability in teamfights. Like, once again, twice now, he gets taken down far too quickly in teamfights. And, you know, you have a lot of damage. Your damage output's crazy. You're doing 900 damage crits, but you're not surviving teamfights. You can't sustain the DPS. So, I think it's a bit greedy of them to go for that Bloodthirster pickup. I would have expected, I would have thought maybe something like a Guardian Angel would have been great for him as well, but that just wasn't picked up. And so we'll see in this next team fight. If he gets focused down, I believe that'll definitely be another easy team fight for Gravitex if Magby goes down a little bit too early.
Slack Morange still sitting there with a cookie in his inventory. Who does that, man? What's up with the cookie? Anyway, Brad just missed out barely by Vittori. Thresh is alone in the mid lane here. He's grouping up with Crassus.
Burns flash, Burns flash.
Shockwave gone.
Crassus's gonna go in the middle of that. Box has been used. Kirby's taking up all of Lucian's ultimate at the moment. Two team fights happening at the same time. We've got a lot of action going down. Flamethrower's gonna go down to Crassus. Kirby is still barely low after the ulti. Vittori is gonna go down to Phobia, and now Soul 1v5 in the middle of everybody. He will take down Magby, but will go down himself. Now Phobia's managed to get himself a double kill. Team fight going the way of Loaded. We're going to see an inhibitor here. We're going to see an inhibitor.
Valiant effort on Soul's part, I have to say. He tried his best getting in the middle there, but he didn't have anyone to back him up. But that was just a misinitiate from Gravitex. They missed out the shockwave. They got grabbed by Thresh. As soon as Loaded knew they could follow up, they did.
And once again, though, I just mentioned that Magby's survivability is an issue. And once again, he goes down so easily in teamfights. He can't manage to stay alive, and it's another initiation onto Shiny. He is taking a lot of damage, and he will go down to Crassus. Kirby now in a rough situation.
Oh yeah, he tried to put a little bit of damage onto Crassus, but Crassus just a little bit too tanky. He's sitting there with his Randuins, and he's got himself a Spirit Visage as well. So moving on to getting a little bit of
Triple Randuins coming out.
Yeah,
from
triple Randuins.
And double Randuins coming out from Gravitex. This is a game of Randuins. We have 5 Randuins all up in this game.
Randuins will be. Anyway, that I think it's every single dragon so far has gone to Loaded, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's pushing, you know, the gold lead now favorably back in the lead of Loaded at nearly a safe 8,000 gold. We're looking about 7,000. Was it 7,700? 7,000 something. And last team fight went in the way of Loaded. Score is 12-20. Turrets we got 4-6. So Loaded once more looking pretty comfortable, despite a little bit of a comeback from Gravitex. 10, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah,
And
they're
now-
equaling it out with positioning and ults particularly. That shockwave gone from flamethrower was a huge, huge disadvantage.
2 over Rabidons for Flamethrower now.
Pushing off that much more damage, and he's focusing on getting out Zhonya's, making him a little bit safer. You notice that in teamfights, he does get focused a lot. He's very good at staying alive, especially with his
Soul's gonna go on the chase though.
Oh, does get grabbed, but that's not the best position that you want to be grabbed in.
Loaded absolutely do not want to take this fight though. They don't have the rest of their team there. Keeb's on the top lane, United is up, but Krasiv, not nearly yet there. They need to wait for Krasiv if they want to engage.
So that's what I was thinking of, Flamethrower with the barrier. So if they focus down Flamethrower any more than they already have. There's the Wither sitting on Morange, I believe it was. They're not going to make that initiate though. The box is still up, so is Stand United. I think they need to force Shen to stand United down. They've got a 4v5 down here. Nasus is backing out. They're not going to go for it. If they jumped on the enemy team, they would have forced Keebs to go down with his Stand United.
Absolutely. And right now, I don't know if they realize, but Gravitic's actually backing up. They're going to give away the turret. They're going to give away the turret.
The bot turret and the top turret almost to just the top turret aggression anyway.
Definitely in terms of objectives, Loaded supremely coming out on top. We have, 7 turrets now, as well as an inhibitor.
Oh, Krasiv getting very, very close to the turret. Down goes the 80s. Shiny's missing the shockwave, actually hitting no one because of that. Perfect Sonya's from Phobia. Flamethrower is now going to be the focus of attention. Krasiv is in the middle of the fight. Vettori nearly going down. Magby might be able to pick him off. He certainly doesn't get that last auto attack off and goes down himself. It looks like Gravitex are in the lead again. Krasiv getting picked off by Curbs. Keebs is now in the middle of the fight. He, of course, wasn't putting down any of the damage, so everyone was just ignoring him, waiting at the end. They got all of the damage. Actually, Shiny went down at the beginning of that fight. That's what happened. Shiny went down. Phobia got off a brilliant Zonya's Hourglass to deny Flamethrower's ulti. I think a lot of it was the turret.
Torrent had a lot to do with it. I think they got very greedy with Vittori. We had Box come out for Vittori. Vittori flashes over the box. We have Magmi chasing down Vittori. Despite getting, he gets entangled. He's very greedy. I think maybe he should have switched targets. It's possibly a couple of misplays, a couple of greedy plays coming out. Missed ulti coming out from Thresh, from Orange. Which is, it's really interesting though, because you're right, you're absolutely right. We saw the burst down on Shiny, unfortunately going down very quickly once again. Shiny dying so quickly. They have that early 4v5 advantage, but still not managing to take it out. And then you see Soul there absolutely cleaning up. And now Baron number 2 going the way of Gravitex. So all Barons going the way of Gravitex and all Dragons going the way of Loaded.
Oh, they're sharing it nice and evenly. Well, I don't think it's even for the late game, with that Baron going to do a lot of work.
Definitely. I think I prefer Baron. I prefer Baron.
Yeah, Dragon coming up in 2 minutes now with the timer going down
a lot of level 18s now coming out onto the field. Nasus's Soul's early XP advantage no longer really having much of an effect. We're now looking at all late game farm. This is going to be a very late game orientated, match I should say, and we did mention in the draft that if it does go late game, Nasus will be a big force, and what a big force he is at the moment.
Absolutely massive, and he's going to keep getting bigger and bigger, so I think at this point there's not too much they can do except focus everybody else down and try and deny gap closing to Soul. But
he's now the number 1. He's now leading in terms of net worth. 17,400 is the gold coming out from Soul at the moment.
So that's gone into items. He's still scaling, and I believe to a Guardian Angel next.
Zyra now. Yeah. Zyra actually has the Zonyas as well now. So support's getting Zonyas. Randuin's on Morange. Support's tanking up quite a bit. Actually, I'm surprised supports are getting this many items. I suppose that's with the new gold changes, the new item changes, that supports can afford to get these kind of items.
Definitely. And just, aggressive supports, as we were saying before. She's not focusing on helping out a team with an Aegis. That's, for a while now, actually, that's split over to the jungler. Where
QSS.
See an initiate.
QSS coming out from Shiny, though. We'll see how that manages out. Banshee's Veil will be your defensive item for Lucian. What do you think of that? I think, personally, I think Guardian Angel might have been a good pick, but what do you think of Banshee's Veil?
Banshee's Veil, I think, is for the single target damage burst that he was getting. And I think a Guardian Angel wouldn't have put him in a particularly good position. If he went down, well, he would have come back up. They would have targeted their spells to move through him in terms of AoE, and their positioning would have been there as well. So
he is always the first one going down, though.
Yeah.
You know, your first one or two. You know, he's his first one or two of his plays going down. So
turrets are made of nothing to Nasus right now. He can probably get them down like a third health. There's that shockwave burst landing on the Thresh, and now taking down Krasiv despite his ult going down as well. Bobby is looking in a tough way, throwing out the Zhonya's, trying to deny a little bit of damage. Keebs is next to go, and Magby has not been the focus of attention the entire fight like usual. Whoops, sorry about that. There we go.
Absolutely, Magme for some reason is still alive. He's the only player alive, not being the focus of the fight this time around. This is potential GG if they can, if GTX continue. Once we've said before, turrets do not stand in the way of Nasus whatsoever. What can Magme do right now? It's a 1v4 situation. It looks like GG.
It is completely and utterly done. Loaded, destroyed by that late game scaling. Was terrific choicing from Gravitex. They chose a teamfight combo, and they chose the scaling combo, and they've gone for a pretty mobile and defensive combo. So that was brilliant to watch, and they still went for that close initiate Vi. And I think it was difficult for Krasiv to pull off that early jungling on Olaf.
Look at that in-game goal, 19.5k for Sol on the Nasus. Ahead by Magby, who was for a very long time in that game the gold lead, and he leads Magby by 1.4k gold. So absolutely outstanding play from Sol in that game.
Such dog indeed, chat. And by the way, if you guys are getting that little bug when you get into game or you get into spectation and it destroys your DPI on your mouse, let me know, because that's a huge issue right now. It's terrifying. Anyway, game number 2 will be coming up soon. Again, I'm Snowy Padre. This is Avril, newcaster coming into League of Legends, but with a lot of background in casting as well. This is supported by TD Esports and Playtech for the entire tournament, and it is Company of Gamers, the final tournament for 2013. That was game number 1 and round 2, or game number 2, coming up in just a minute.